These teams didn't deserve it. They didn't work hard for it. In fact, they cheated their way to get it. And it just should be done. It's tainted them. It's a shame. It's disgusting in my opinion. They've tarnished baseball. They tarnished the reputation of these teams, these players, these managers. And it's going to go on in history forever.
Welcome to the ChadBurn Show, brought to you by M. Chad Baldwin.
Welcome to the ChadBurn Show. I am your host, M. ChadBurn. And as always, running the behind the scenes is the one and only Julien Ravoisier. He's not here right now, otherwise I'd tell him to say hi to the people, but he'll be, of course, producing the show. I want to thank everyone. Oh, see? No, he always makes an appearance. When you call him, he just comes out. It doesn't matter. Well, folks, we have another wonderful episode for you this week. Obviously, we are now going to start transitioning away from pure Eagles talk. We're going to start looking at and discussing other things in sports. I know, how dare we? But this is what we must do as we continue on through the year. So today we have some very interesting topics. I think we're going to break down the show, one, going through the headlines of the last week. I'm focusing on three main headlines, two kind of working together. Then we'll obviously do some NFL with my picks and predictions for the NFC and AFC championship games coming up. And then finally, we'll be returning to the continuous segment we have every show, the burn list. So I'm excited to get that on. It'll be the first burn list of 2020. So really an exciting new segment for it of this year. But first, the headlines of this week. I would say probably the biggest and most talked about one, because there finally was a ruling coming from it, is the MLB cheating scandal from the Houston Astros and now being looped in the Boston Red Sox. Let's look back at the timeline here, folks. So, starting back in November, The Athletic publishes an article discussing how there are some irregularities, there's possibly some scandals, there is a cheating happening within the organization of the Astros during the 2017 World Series run. Mike Fiers, and I hope I get that correct, Fiers, he then goes on record saying that yes, there was in fact a system in place to spy on the signals and to know what pitches were coming. It then goes so far as we learn and find and look at videos and getting clips and we're getting more evidence that the Astros had the center field camera pointed at the catcher and would then relay that video automatically to a TV screen just outside the dugout and would be able to know what pitches were coming in. And one great example that was posted online, looking at the video and the sound you could hear, because we learned from the report that they would bang garbage cans so the batter would know what pitches were coming. They would go in, for example, if there was a fastball or a changeup, they knew the pitcher's style. If they knew that wasn't going to be a fastball, it was going to be a changeup, they'd bang the garbage can twice, and the batter would know and hold off. If there was a fastball, there'd be no bang. So the batter would know to try and swing and go for it because knowing it'd be coming across the plate right in the middle. This was a consistent thing throughout the 2017 season. And it looks like we have both, the managers getting looped into this. AJ Hinch and the general manager, Jeff Lunhow, were fired from the Astros after receiving a year-long suspension. The Astros would then find, obviously, their draft picks for this year and next, and obviously a monetary fund that I don't really care about because they have so much money that doesn't really affect those teams. But then Alex Cora was fired from the Red Sox because it was found out that he was instrumental to this cheating scandal and to the pitching sign stealing and so on, and then would also lead to cheat while coaching the Red Sox, using Apple Watches to steal signs and get video of what were the signs coming in. So really, it's this whole culture of the Astros as then permeated through other teams like the Red Sox of stealing these signs, and they got away with it. And the worst part about it is they won World Series. These were championship teams that won because of the cheating. And I have to say, there's one team in particular, a team that I followed throughout the year, the team that my family is very close to, that I can't believe is not making more noise about this, are the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees lost in the playoffs to both the Astros in 2017 and the Red Sox in 2018, when they had both a dominant team that was leading the league in home runs. And they were kicked out, most likely because these teams were cheating. And on top of that, the players also obviously had great success with this new system in place. Their home batting average versus their away batting average was almost 4 times better. And Altuve won the MVP in 2017 over Aaron Judge, who was having an MVP season. And if he had advantages and had the bat and was able to get the signals and steal signs and know which pitches were coming in, I think he would have been able to beat Altuve as well. So it's this snowballing effect where it came from just starting in the coaches and how they were playing the game to the players' performance to then the fact that they actually won that makes this so severe. And in my opinion, the MLB needs to vacate these titles. These are not legitimate titles won by these two teams. And in order to truly punish them, in order to show the rest of the league that this will not be tolerated coming down later in the throughout the decades to come, they need to vacate the championships. There should be an asterisk for 2017 and 2018 years, and that there was no champion. These teams didn't deserve it. They didn't work hard for it. In fact, they cheated their way to get it. And it just should be done. It's tainted them. It's a shame. It's disgusting in my opinion. They've tarnished baseball. They tarnished the reputation of these teams, these players, these managers. And it's going to go on in history forever. And I think that we see it today. There are Hall of Famers that are tainted, such as Sammy Sosa, Marty McGwire, tainted during that steroid era, who will never get into Hall of Fame. And I think this is going to also go down that it will be long and hard to forgive these people for what they've done. Yes, baseball has always stole signs. Yes, it's always trying to get an advantage. But in this case, they were using technology that is more advanced to get an even bigger step up. And that's going to be what it comes down to is the fact that, yes, this happens in the league, but they were using cameras and literally stealing it in seconds knowing what was going on. It changes the game. So that's headline one. And it's reprehensible, it's crazy, and I hope the league vacates the titles. We'll see as it goes down, but obviously the punishments are being doled out. You just saw, obviously, because we're recording today on Friday, Carlos Beltran was also released from the Mets. He was also on that staff and probably one of the first players. Alex Cora was the only one that wasn't management. That was a new player that really got punished, but Beltran's the next one that was not high management, not the main coach, who was getting punished for this. So it continues on. This is going to be a developing story as we go along, but those were some of my early thoughts on it. The next one, and this is a headline that was really starting to piss me off, Odell Beckham Jr., because man, can he not stay out of the spotlight longer than for a few freaking seconds. He was down, obviously going to New Orleans, watching the LSU versus Clemson national championship game. The two top college teams battling it out. It was a wonderful game. That was actually my headline number 3, was discussing the LSU Clemson game. An incredible game, 42-25 with LSU coming on top. Now, OBJ, former LSU Tiger, was obviously at the game and was seen celebrating with these players afterwards. But in typical OBJ fashion, he found a way to make it all about him. Starting off with handing money to the players, doing these high five shakes, giving them money. And I get it. I'm not on board with the rules that they can't make money. I think these players should be getting at least some type of monetary compensation, especially if these schools are making money off their name. But that, regardless, he was breaking the rules, giving money, creating more, almost I would say, heat from the NCAA on these players who will be entering the draft and trying to make a career for themselves. So you're already taking away from their victory, making it about you, and making this spectacle with the money. And while, of course, these players deserve money, you just can't do that. It's against the rules. It's ridiculous to see OBJ making this scene out there on the field. The number 2 comes along. Simple battery charges as a warrant out right now for the New Orleans police for OBJ because, and it's literally on camera, it's insane. There's a security officer, works for the police in New Orleans, who is in the locker room. He is kind of accosting 2 African-American males from the LSU team who were smoking cigars. Now, I've seen on social media there have been talks that possibly this was, race, it could be instigated by race, because obviously Joe Burrow was smoking cigars and was not getting yelled at by the police, and I think there could be a lot of credit to that. But outside of what was already not a good situation, while the police are kind of calming down the situation, while the players are just saying, okay, whatever, the coaches are there to support the players, they're making sure nothing escalates, they're going to have a fun time while also getting security off their backs. What does Odell Beckham Jr. do? He decides to slap one of the police officers on the ass. Yeah, that's right. Slapped him right on the ass. Can you imagine any person doing that to a police officer? Are you kidding me? He gets that, and he acts like it's just all fun and games to celebrate. Again, taking away from these players' celebrations, taking away from a situation that was de-escalating and then re-escalating it. Because that's what OBJ does. Because he likes to be the center of attention. He likes to make everything about him and just bring all the excitement from his angle. And it's a real shame because this was an incredible win by LSU. It was an incredible night from the quarterback Joe Burrow. It was a great team win. They were, obviously they were down 10 points early on in the first half. They come back to win big. And Joe Burrow had a hell of a night. 463 yards, 31 of 49, and 5 touchdowns. He even set the single season record for the FBS. It's an incredible night, but unfortunately we have to now talk about OBJ from there. But enough of OBJ, and I don't want to talk about always because I want to focus on the LSU Clemson game itself. Besides all the stupidity that followed the game, it was a great matchup. I think obviously Trevor Lawrence didn't look his best out there. He really struggled against the defense as it went along. But Joe Burrow, man, that kid is legit. This kid will be in the NFL and will be a starting quarterback in the NFL. His accuracy with the ball, the deep ball, his strength of arm, his ability to really go down the field with it is what separates him, I think, from a lot of these players coming in the draft. He has what looks already an NFL arm. A lot of quarterbacks skate by because they'll be going against bad defenses in college, obviously, and can throw the ball up. Players sometimes have an advantage. A lot of 50-50 balls that come down. They get away with some mistakes. Joe Burrow, on the money every time. The ball just, a lot of those deep passes, incredible touchdown ones, where it literally just drops right in their arms, or it's right on the back shoulder. He has the full, I would say, route tree down, where he's able to throw, I would say, NFL routes. And I think when he gets to the NFL, whatever team he goes to, most likely the Bengals if they have the number 1 overall pick, I think he's really going to fit in right away. Would it be great to give him a year to kind of, develop and work under more of a veteran quarterback? Absolutely. Do I think that'll be the case? No. Whatever team takes Joe Burrow, and all these poor teams that are at the bottom of the league right now, they'll be the top 3 picks. They're going to need a quarterback right away. And I think Joe Burrow is going to be the one that gives them the results. And it's a hell of a story. He's a hell of a quarterback. That team was amazing from the coach all the way down to all the players in the field. I don't know the name right now, the wide receiver on LSU. I hope, I think it's Riggs. I hope if he makes it, we'll get him obviously on the Eagles. I think that'd be a great fit for the Eagles. But that whole team, it was a historically good team, a historically great win. They deserved, they were the better team out there. Clemson played their heart out, but they just couldn't keep up with the talent on the field there. It was really amazing. So that was my 3 big headlines, obviously. Focusing first on the MLB scandal, looking next at the OBJ case and why he continues just to be a fool out on the field always, whether it's during the NFL games or off, and taking away from a great win from these players where the attention should have been on LSU and the players. And a great win, obviously, of LSU over Clemson in an awesome national championship game down in New Orleans. So those are obviously my 3 big headlines. Transitioning now from those headlines to the NFL. We have coming up on the docket, getting out my notes right here, obviously Titans versus Chiefs. Chiefs are 7-point favorites. Packers versus 49ers. 49ers 7.5-point favorites. I think in both cases it's going to be a lot closer than the stat line show. I think Vegas definitely favors a lot of these other teams. I think the Chiefs obviously are a great team. I think the 49ers are great, but I do believe these other 2 teams, the Titans Packers, could really push it to the end. Henry going off again last week, 195 yards. After a 180-plus performance against the Patriots, the man is a tank and a beast, and the Chiefs are going to have to figure out how to defend that. The defense on the Chiefs has gotten a lot better, historically better, since the first half of the season, and they're able to hold opponents down. But you saw how the Texans got out to a hot start and were able to kind of get their way around the Chiefs. I think the Texans ultimately failed in that they had a lack of talent, and Watson just couldn't make the throws when he needed to. But I think that if the Titans play the type of offense they've been running, which is the run-first offense, you have Tannehill maybe throw 14 passes a game. It'd be amazing if he gets in the 20s, but he's still accurate. He doesn't turn over the ball, and that's what's important. The Chiefs have had a really good secondary. Tyrann Mathieu has been playing great. I think that it's really a strong secondary that's going to lock down a lot of the receivers. But will they be able to, in the front 7, hold out against this Derrick Henry rushing attack? And I mean, people are literally making career choices not to tackle this man. It hurts to tackle him. He is barreling over people, and if he's not barreling over, he's losing you with his speed. I love it because it reminds me of just all the older running backs we saw earlier in this century, and obviously looking at the highlight reels of players in the old days that just were just he's almost Nigerian Nightmare-esque, where homage to the Chiefs there obviously, but just shoulder down will knock you over. It's going to take 4 people at once to tackle you. Even if you go at the legs, he's so strong down there that you can't just wrap those up. You need someone hitting low, you need someone hitting high, and you need someone hitting the middle. It's really an incredible thing to watch. So I've been loving watching Henry. Packers, again, Aaron Rodgers, your quarterback. Matt LaFleur's had a hell of a run. 49ers defense, top 2 in the league this year in almost every statistical category. Can they stop Aaron Rodgers? I think they have a very good chance of any team out there. Obviously, they have one of the best chances there. But I think the Packers are starting to click offensively when they need to. Now, will they be able to hold Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't see why not. Jimmy Garoppolo, besides George Kittle out there, it really doesn't have many weapons. And I think Mostert's great, and the running game's been good, and Tevin Coleman goes off every once in a while, and they kind of just go with the hot hand, and the run game has been significantly helpful to Jimmy Garoppolo. And not a knock on him. He throws the passes when they need to be thrown. But again, lack of weapons. So I think the Packers defense, which had a hot start to the season, I think they can key down and able to really make it a one-dimensional game. If they can stop the run game and kind of force Garoppolo to pass the ball around, and you're able to double-team Kittle, there's not many other weapons besides Sanders out there. So I think if you can really lock it down to just that and make them throw, Packers could keep it a close game. And always when you have Aaron Rodgers, if you're going to give the ball to Aaron Rodgers at the end of the game while he's down, he's going to find a way to get at least within field goal range or to get a touchdown. That's just who he is. It's an offensive powerhouse right now from the Packers. So will the offense be able to score more points as their defense be able to hold back from the 49ers? We'll see. Now, because of all those points I just laid out, I'm going to take underdogs this entire weekend. Because all right, here's the thing. Being an Eagles fan and being back at the underdog and seeing the underdog, I've won a championship and won a Super Bowl. I'm going to go Titans over Chiefs. It's a $7 under. I'm placing money down. I place money that the Titans will at least cover the spread. They should at least be within 3 or 4 if they lose. I think it'll be a close game. I'm going to go Titans over the Chiefs. I'm going to say it's going to be a 27-24 game. I think that Mahomes will obviously get his opportunities, and he's going to score. But I think that if this Titans secondary can at least keep Tyreek Hill in front of them, which that's a big if, and focus on Kelsey and really try and stop the passing game and focus more on the run game for the Chiefs, they have a chance. And maybe Derrick Henry was going to run this defense down, use up a ton of clock. They've been able to hold the possession of the games entirely because they're running the ball constantly. If they chew up enough clock, get enough yards, get the points they need to win, I think the Titans can do it. So we'll see. Chiefs obviously had a great game last week, being down 24 to the Houston Texans and came back to dominate them. So it's tough to pick against, but I'd like to pick for the Cinderella story. I know it's not smart, and luckily we're not going to throw a ton of money on it, but I still am going to go Titans because I really like the way Derrick Henry's running, and I'm waiting to see a defense stop him. So until the defense proves they can stop him, that's where I'll be with them. And then finally, I'm taking, like I said, the underdog picks. I'm also going to go Packers over 49ers. I don't trust the 49ers offense. I think Jimmy G has had a great season. He's able to get the ball where it needs to be in certain situations. But with the lack of weapons at receiver, with a run game where you have to always rely on one running back getting hot, I think that the Packers have the consistent offense and will be able to score more versus 49ers. I think Aaron Rodgers is smart enough on that field to figure out the coverages that are being put in place for him by the 49ers, make the call at the line, check out a place he doesn't like, and he's smart enough to, I think, be the general and really run that offense against that 49ers defense. So I think if the Packers get the ball going, they're able to score quickly and score a lot of points, the 49ers will have a tough time coming back. I think while the 49ers offense is efficient, I don't know if they can score enough to keep up with the Packers. So I'm going to say the Packers make it to the Super Bowl, and they would face off against the Titans if they go through. If not the Chiefs, we'll see. Titans I'm definitely not as confident with, but, I got to stick with the good story. Packers win against 49ers. I'm going to put it at 35-28. It'll be a 7-point, obviously, in favor of the Packers. They obviously covered the spread, go forward, but 35-28 in favor of the Packers. It'll be a high-scoring game for the Packers. I think they'll be able to start, really running with it. Devontae Adams is going to have a big game. Aaron Jones will be able to run the ball and catch outside and also create another element and depth to that offense. So I'm really looking forward to that. Both great matchups. It's going to be a hell of a Sunday. I'm excited for it. And let's see how it goes down. But those are the picks on the ChadBurn Show. You can hold me to it. And obviously, we'll check back next week to see how well we did. Last week, looking back, I did not do as well as I thought. I did pick, obviously, 49ers over Vikings. Got that right. Was wrong when picking the Ravens. That got smoked by Titans. And this, again, why I think the Titans defense will be really good here. They held the Ravens on their first 2 drives to just 6 points when they were in the red zone. That's huge. So I think, obviously, the Titans defense is up to the task. They were able to stop one of the most powerful offenses we've seen all season in the Ravens. Why not stop another powerful offense in the Chiefs? I did pick Chiefs over Texans. I didn't pick it scoring that high, but I did get Chiefs right. And I was wrong with Seahawks over Packers. So I was 2-2 last weekend. Going a nice 500. Hopefully we can go over 500 this weekend. So with our picks in, with our discussions of the headlines and sports news that I thought were very interesting, it is now time to transition to our old segment that hasn't happened yet in the 2020 year. It is time for our
ChadBurn Show Burn List.
That's right, the burn list is back. We have one organization and one person that have made the burn list this week. It was exciting kind of running down this segment again. It's really fun. So we're going to get right into it. Our first victim on the burn list is
The MLB.
Well, there was a league that finally stood up and took some action. The MLB. Amazing that of all the major sporting leagues in North America, the MLB is currently embattled with a cheating scandal unlike any we have seen in a long time. The severity of the scandal becomes heightened even more when it becomes apparent that the 2 teams were able to actually win championships by cheating and stealing signs. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I stand by vacating these titles from the Astros and the Red Sox. I know it may be purely out of spite since they denied the team I followed from the World Series victory and in those 2 years, but also it needs to be an example to the league. While technology improves, it does not mean that teams can start taking advantage of this technology. And examples are going to need to be set in order to deter other teams from using the same technology to cheat going forward. Yes, in baseball, you're always looking for an advantage. We talked about it earlier, but using a camera in center field goes too far. I also believe that the MLB is not doing enough by only suspending the coaches and management teams. The players that took part need to be punished, and awards won during those years vacated. The stats that back up the incredible batting averages of Altuve, McCann, and Springer show they hit almost 3 to 4 times better at home than away. Altuve even won an MVP title during that time. Players cannot be absolved from tainting the sport, and I believe that MLB is being too lenient, too afraid to ostracize fans by not coming down hard on them. The baseball league, the commissioner, is on my burn list right now because they need to toughen up and take care of the dirty business in their league.
ChadBurn.
Now, we'll move on to our next, obviously, victim of the list, and that is
Antonio Brown.
Yes, well, we were blessed again with some crazy Antonio Brown behavior. This man desperately needs help. Whether it's complaining about the league, about teams, or even teams that want to work him out, he now is going after the police, and the Hollywood Police Department to be specific. Now, I will not sit here and pretend that there are not systemic issues between the police department across the United States and minorities. However, it appears that Antonio Brown is going after a police department for just doing their job and trying to paint it as a race issue. This is both wrong by belittling the horrible everyday interactions minorities face in the United States by using this to get away with it, and wrong by painting the officers in the altercation as doing anything other than their job. They were investigating a domestic issue that Antonio Brown was causing by yelling and swearing in front of his children to their mother. It has gone so bad that even Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, has cut ties with him until he seeks professional help. This is the same agent that represented one of the greatest diva wide receivers of all time in Terrell Owens. And even he is saying, nope, that's enough, too crazy. AB, you need to turn your life around because right now your career is in one giant dumpster fire that is set to keep burning for years to come. Please get the help you need. You are a generational talent that is wasting it by being a selfish, egocentric, narcissistic jackass.
ChadBurn.
And that does it for obviously our ChadBurn burn list segment. I think that's going to do it for our show today, folks. I felt it was a very nice show. It was a quick show. We tried to fit a lot into it. So hopefully you were able to get some fun, some new information, some excitement just from hearing it all and getting pumped for the football games this weekend. As always, I would like to thank you all for listening in. It really is a pleasure for me to do this every week. It's fun for me, so I hope at least some people out there can find some enjoyment from listening into this. We covered a lot. We hit on the scandal, the MLB scandal. We hit on Odell Beckham Jr., the LSU versus Clemson, the Titans and Chiefs upcoming game, and the Packers versus the 49ers. We had a lot. We had some fun, and obviously looking forward to the games and everything else to unfold in this coming weekend and week. So as always, if you have any questions or would like to talk to me or talk about anything you heard on the show, you can reach out to me at chadburn.show@gmail.com. Again, that's chadburn.show@gmail.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at ChadBurnShow. And also my YouTube channel has all the shows up, but you can DM me to talk and check out our content on YouTube. If you like what you listen to, what you're hearing right now, you like what you see in the videos that are on YouTube or any of the content I post on Instagram, please click for a follow or subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate everyone that is obviously following us and keeping up to date with what we're doing. As always, we will be posting updates for when our shows will be coming out. This show obviously airing on Sunday. We're going to continue to try and get the shows out then. We'll try and keep everyone appraised on Instagram and on other platforms about when these shows will be and what the content will cover. But as always, thank you for listening in. Until next time, have a good evening.